Where do you think this is going tonight, Bill?
It's going back to the Supreme Court.
How so?
And I think, because one of the things the Supreme Court said in the order that a lot of people aren't focusing on is that the Supreme Court ordered the district court, you need to clarify exactly what you're going to do. But in doing so, they also cautioned this district court judge, do not exceed your authority. In other words, the President of the United States under Article 2 is the chief executive officer, the commander-in-chief, and the chief magistrate. All of that gives him plenary authority over international relations. This is not a U.S. citizen. ICE and others had determined that he may have been a gang member or was a gang member, which is how he got deported in the first place. And if you look at a lot of the court's precedents on these issues, whether it's Trump versus Hawaii that came out of the first term, the president has broad authority here and discretion not only under the statute, but Article 2 gives him a lot of authority.
So you give an insight into where the administration could potentially be going, but I guess just for a layman's terms here, I would say, wait a minute, this case was just at the Supreme Court. You say it's going back to the Supreme Court. How does all that shake out?
Right, and you're seeing what the district court judge is doing, asking the Department of Justice all the questions that you just laid out. And I think what's going to end up happening is they will find out some information. On a daily basis, they'll begin to update the judge. But I really think that if the DOJ comes forward with the evidence that precipitated his deportation in the first place, it may put this to bed.
Jesse, is Bill on to something?
So a couple of things there. First of all, I think it's remarkable that when a judge gives you homework, you don't show up and you don't even give a good reason for why you didn't come back. I mean, it's not even the dog ate your homework. So look, first of all, I have to say this. The Supreme Court effectuate, facilitate, you could say it's semantics. I think at the end of the day, it was very clear that the court has to understand and defer to the executive branch regarding foreign affairs. But it didn't say that the government is within its rights to not have him back. I think the big argument is, well, what's the government going to do? If the court is saying you got to provide more information about how you're getting him back, remember, the U.S. government's paying El Salvador, what, $6 million to house the prisoners? Is that not a good bargaining chip through diplomatic channels to actually get him back? Assuming he wasn't Abrego Garcia, assuming he was somebody else that the Trump administration really wanted back, I think they would have figured out a way to ultimately make it happen. So at the very least, and by the way, I have to say this, the court gave the administration an out here, said, okay, I don't understand why you didn't come forward with information. You're coming back with information every day, even if you don't have information. Tell me that, because I don't think the court wants the appearance of the Trump administration not following its orders. So we're going to see what happens at 5 p.m. every day.
There was another big Supreme Court case this week, and it dealt with the Alien Enemies Act, basically the ability to deport suspected Tren de Aragua gang members out of the country. And, Bill, the 3 liberal justices sided on this one with Amy Coney Barrett, the conservative justice. And there's been a lot of backlash in conservative circles because this is not the first time that she has sided against the administration, unfreezing USAID payments, reinstating federal workers, the case I just mentioned as well. Are you disappointed in Amy Coney Barrett?
No, I think it's basically the makeup of the court. It's not 6 conservatives and 3 liberals.
You don't think it's that?
No, I don't think that line is that bright. I think what you have is 3 conservatives, right? Thomas, Gorsuch, Alito.
Okay.
And then you have 3 institutionalists. Now, Kavanaugh's more of a conservative than an institutionalist, but I think Coney Barrett and Roberts, being the swing votes, are the institutionalists. So I think when they're looking at these cases, not only are they saying, trying to figure out the facts and the law, but they're also trying to preserve the integrity and the credibility of the court. And I think that you have a very aggressive administration that's going to push very hard on the unitary theory of the executive under Article 2, meaning that the president, as the chief executive, has broad latitude to be able to do a lot of things, especially on the topic of immigration. And I think what you're going to see is that Coney Barrett and Roberts are going to end up being the swing votes on this.
Do you think Trump wishes he had that pick back?
Yes.
Okay. Jesse, I'll give you the last word here.
Yeah, I don't quite agree with the criticism that Amy Coney Barrett has been getting. I mean, look at the decision today. She didn't even jump onto the criticism from the liberal justices against the Trump administration. From the ruling earlier in the week, she didn't say, the president doesn't have the authority under the Alien Enemies Act. She basically said this case shouldn't have gone to the Supreme Court. It was a procedural objection that she had. So I think we have to really look at carefully about what she's saying and what she's doing. And as I said to you earlier in the week, a centrist judge or a judge that might be more towards the middle than people were expecting, is that really the worst thing? That's my take.
Thank you for watching, and make sure you go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.